In 1969, instead of finishing his business degree, a senior at the University of Washington joined the Northwest Filmmakers Cooperative. He had no formal creative art instruction, but had an extensive background in photography and now wanted to become a filmmaker. He borrowed 16mm film equipment from the co-op and with the help of his friends set out to make his first movie. At a location in the woods, he improvised a storyline, shooting freely until he ran out of film stock. Back at the co-op, he spliced the original film together several times before he was satisfied that it was finished, naming his creation The Witness. When he watched films created by other experimental filmmakers, he didn't understand their meaning. They seemed to be just random images edited together without any storyline. If this was experimental filmmaking, then he too could become a filmmaker and set out on his next project. He shot some film of a 1927 Buick being driven around Volunteer Park by a friend. After parking it in a garage, he invited two other friends to join him there. Using a variety of costumes, they smoked some marijuana and then improvised their actions before the camera. He edited the sequences together by creating an A-roll and a B-roll, and then took them to the lab for his first professional 16mm print. He titled his experimental film 1927 Buick, and quickly shipped it off to a film festival in California, where it may have been screened, but was never returned. He wanted to take a more organized approach when making his next film. He would start with a script and this time add a soundtrack of piano music to the final print. After he completed his script, he began recruiting friends and actors to perform in his latest movie. However, he soon realized that he did not have enough filmmaking experience to successfully tackle such a large project, and after a few months gave up. The only filming actually completed was that of an actor pretending to pilot a toy airplane down the streets of Seattle.
A Ford tri-motor passenger airplane takes off from Reno, Nevada. On board with the pilot are four travelers: Harry Huff, Mary McMurphy, Dr. Fritz Afraid, and a mysterious foreigner who looks a lot like Leon Trotsky. After takeoff, suddenly the lights go out. When they come back on, Dr. Afraid is laying on the passenger floor with Mr. Huff piled on top of him. Miss McMurphy now clutches a set of rosary beads and moves her lips in silent prayer. In the cockpit, the mysterious stranger holding a revolver to the head of the pilot exclaims,
"Take this plane to Mexico."
To protect himself, the mysterious stranger hits the pilot on the head with the revolver, knocking him out. He notices the biplane hovering alongside and improvises a devious plan, which begins when he shoots a hole in the gas tank of the Ford tri-motor. He exits the cockpit, bypasses the two fighting figures, scoops up Miss McMurphy, and mounts the biplane with her in his arms. The biplane then flies off. Wings Willoughby notices too late that his biplane is gone. The props on the Ford tri-motor sputter and then stop spinning altogether, and the plane begins to nosedive. Wings rushes to the cockpit past the unconscious pilot and grabs the controls of the falling airplane, which is headed for certain doom. Just then, a title card appears on the screen announcing "To be continued."
Sometime later, as he was walking about town with his new girlfriend, he remembered a bulletin board was nearby with his posting and walked her up to it. She stared at his posting intently for a few minutes, then exclaimed, "You're no artist filmmaker." He realized her statement was true, even though he had worked on only 3 movies. He would not make a fourth 16mm film because, as demanding as A and B-roll editing was, adding a soundtrack made it just too difficult for him to continue. So, after failing to finish the Wings Willoughby project, his ambitions to become a filmmaker ended. "13 years later, he purchased a video camera and discovered that editing video was infinitely easier to editing film because the picture and sound were linked together. Although he had failed to become a filmmaker, after acquiring more video equipment, he went on to have a successful career as a video producer in Alaska. But that's a whole other story. To be continued.